Welcome to the Caribbean Leadership Radio Series, produced by the Caribbean Leadership Program under the Caribbean Center for Development Administration, CARICAD, where we provide a number of leadership development interventions tailored for the Caribbean context in support of public sector transformation as well as regional development. In this Caribbean Leadership Radio Series, we will be discussing a range of leadership issues within the public sector context which impact our national and regional development in the Caribbean.
The Caribbean Leadership Radio Series, where Caribbean leaders discuss Caribbean leadership. Here's your host, Dr. Lloyd Parks.
We will be looking at the issue of the challenges of leadership and evidence-based policy development in the Caribbean context. We have with us none other than Professor Donald Simeon. Professor Simeon is currently the Director of the Caribbean Center for Health Systems Research and Development and Professor of Biostatistics and Research at the Faculty of Medical Sciences at the University of the West Indies, the St. Augustine campus in Trinidad and Tobago. He is a proud citizen of the Twin Island Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, and prior to his current appointment, he was Director of Research, Training, and Policy Development at the Caribbean Public Health Agency, popularly known as CARFA. He has his PhD in nutrition from the University of the West Indies in Mona, and his expertise in the area of evidence-based policy development is second to none, and evidenced by his publication of over 80 scientific papers. Professor Simeon, thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning, and thank you, Lloyd. Pleased to be part of the program.
Professor, kick off this discussion by sharing with us a little bit about your own personal leadership journey and how did you get into this area of policy development?
I think that the journey began in 2002 when I was a senior lecturer in the Faculty of Medical Sciences at UWI on the St. Augustine campus. And I was appointed as the Director of the Caribbean Health Research Council, which is a CARICAD institution. I actually took no pay leave to take up that appointment. And as Director of a CARICAD institution, of course, there are a lot of challenges that I perhaps was not prepared for. And part of the mandate of the Health Research Council, what was called at the CHRC, was the uptake of research to inform policy, to inform clinical practice. And we did quite a bit of work, especially in the area of clinical guidelines to guide the practice of clinicians in terms of the management of the most important health conditions in the Caribbean. The issue of policy development was not really a main focus at that time. Until 10 years later, the Health Research Council was merged with 4 other CARICOM institutions to establish what is now known as CARFA. And I was appointed as Director of Research, Training and Policy Development. And that is where I think that I got more into the policy development program. I actually had staff members who were directly involved in working with me to address the issue of policy development. And that journey continued when I rejoined the UWI 2 years ago.
Yes.
As Professor of Biostatistics and Research. And then at that point, it was clear that there was a need for leadership in research at the Faculty of Medical Sciences in Trinidad and Tobago. And it was felt that the most appropriate approach would have been to establish a research center. As to what the center should address, was debated out of consultation, and it was decided that the center should address the issue of policy development and the strengthening of health systems.
Professor, what is this thing that we're talking about? Evidence-based policy development. And why is it important for the average Caribbean citizen?
Just one quick correction. We actually call it evidence-informed policy development as opposed to evidence-based. Recognizing the importance that other factors besides evidence, go into the policy development process. And of course, a big part of our challenge is to really engage policymakers to highlight the importance of research as perhaps the primary factor to consider when you're developing health policy. But to go back to your question, what is, it is an approach. What is evidence-informed policy making? It is an approach to policy development that aims to ensure that the decision-making process is well informed by the best available research evidence, and that it's also described as a systematic and transparent access to an appraisal of evidence as an input into the policy-making process. So it's just one of the various inputs into the policy-making process.
When policymakers have to make decisions as to what is in the best interest of citizens, what's the best return on investment in terms of spend of tax dollars, it is important to know exactly what you're doing. You have the evidence to really guide what is the most appropriate decision to take. What do you see as some of those challenges facing the Caribbean as it relates to this field of policy development and using research and evidence to guide decision making?
What policymakers tend to say is that there's not enough research evidence out there for them to use. That is what is said, and whether they are correct or not, I guess, is debatable. But the bottom line, I believe, is the lack of communication between researchers and policymakers. That is, they speak two different languages. Researchers believe that their role is to conduct, scientific research, publish them in journals, and of course, share it internationally. And policymakers, often believe that researchers, live in these like telephone towers, and they do their own stuff without really thinking about them. So the challenge is really to get the two to come together and speak to define, for example, exactly what are the priority areas for research, and for the researchers to ensure that their research findings are packaged in a way that can be easily used by the policymakers.
We are going to continue on that particular point just after we take a short break. Please stay tuned.
The Caribbean Leadership Radio Series, where Caribbean leaders discuss Caribbean leadership.
Across Caribbean public services, there is great demand for transformational leadership to create an environment that fosters innovation in public service delivery. But how do you know if your organization has this enabling environment? Grounded in research, the Caribbean Leadership Project has developed an enabling environment assessment. This provides a wide range of strategies and actions to help take public sector organizations and regional institutions to a higher level in enabling transformational leaders. To find out how you can use this assessment to foster and inspire purpose-driven leadership, to build leadership capacity for action, encourage collaboration, and support the achievement of results, visit us at www.clptoolkit.org and contact us at info@caribbeanleadership.org. Let us help your organization learn, network, succeed.
The Caribbean Leadership Radio Series, where Caribbean leaders discuss Caribbean leadership.
Welcome back to this episode in the Caribbean Leadership Radio Series. We're looking at leadership and the challenges of evidence-informed policy development. And we have with us Professor Donald Simeon, who is the director of the Caribbean Center for Health Systems Research and Development and Professor of Biostatistics in the Faculty of Medical Sciences at the St. Augustine campus of the UWI. Just before the break, Professor Simeon, you are discussing some of the leadership challenges that we face in the region as it relates to developing and using evidence-based policy development. So just continue on that. What are some of the other challenges as you see it?
Yes, I mentioned the capacity of policymakers is something that has to be addressed, meaning that to use evidence doesn't come naturally to most persons. As I said before, there are other factors that really inform the policy-making process. For example, resources. Are there enough funds or human resources to really implement various policies? And of course, a number of international, regional agreements also decide on what policy is developed. And of course, we would like to focus on the research evidence. And hence it is important for policymakers to really have the capacity to identify, or with support of course, identify the most relevant research evidence to actually be able to analyze the situation and of course identify what are the policy options, that can be used going forward. So that is from the policymaker's perspective. I also think that a challenge is also there with the researchers, and I guess we have to change the mindset that researchers only have a role to conduct research. Because research to what end is really the question for us in the Caribbean. Yes, we like to see the Caribbean publishing papers in international journals. Yes, we are making an international mark, but I believe that we as researchers have a critical role in the development of the region, in the area of health, of course, and policy, and ensuring that one, we conduct the policy relevant research, and two, that the research is then translated in a format that can be easily used in the policy making process.
In the Caribbean Leadership Program, one of the tools that we love to use is this concept that we call the bright spot. And that is looking at examples of best practice, not necessarily perfect practice, but best practice, whether it is leadership or any other sphere of transformation. Professor Simeon, I wonder if you could then just share with us a bright spot that you are knowledgeable of in the Caribbean region where we see effective evidence-informed policy development. And what are some of the lessons we can glean from that particular example in terms of leadership in this area?
Perhaps the most remarkable example or bright spot is the tobacco control policies and regulations, which is present throughout the Caribbean. The issue of the health effects of tobacco is known. I mean, it is well known that tobacco has, increases the risk of mortality for a number of diseases, cardiovascular, cancers, etc. But of course, it's not easy to develop and to implement policies against tobacco use for reasons such as the powerful lobby of the tobacco producers.
Yes, and, the taxes we earn from tobacco sale, cigarette sales.
Yes, and of course you have to also know that some policymakers, have shares in these tobacco producing companies, and of course, so one would not want to affect one's own income. But critically though, the fact is that research evidence can have a huge part in convincing the population as a whole and convincing policymakers about the burden that is placed on the coffers of the state, on mortality, on morbidity, from from cigarette smoking, from the tobacco use. And I think that research evidence really made a difference. It was not a case of people feeling, well, this thing is good. We actually were able to produce evidence internationally, based evidence as well as local and regional evidence showing, that tobacco smoke is really something that we cannot continue to support, or we must really be firm in our measures to limit its consumption, because the bottom line is that the non-communicable diseases, are really quite an epidemic in the Caribbean, Trinidad and Tobago, for example, and we have to do something about it. And tobacco's use is one of the factors that can be addressed to make an important impact. In terms of the lessons learned from this process, I think that the resilience of the persons involved in the policy-making process, using the evidence against this backlash from industry, is one that we really have to really recognize and applaud, because, as I said, it was not easy, and it continues to be a challenge, because there are still aspects of the policy to be implemented. I mean, it's being implemented in phases, But the fact is that we have really stuck to our guns in ensuring that, that we know what is best for the people of the Caribbean, and of course we actually have to show the decision makers, that this is really the right way to go.
It really speaks to that persistence, communicating the data and the research in a manner that people understood the impact. Yeah. Professor, you are an alumni of our leadership development program. Share with us a little bit about how your participation in our leadership development program, how did it actually sharpen your own leadership competencies and, in fact, add it to your skill base as it relates to evidence-informed policy development?
Yes, I am a proud alumni of the CLP, and I am really pleased that I was given the opportunity to participate, and I did learn quite a lot from my participation. For example, the tools that I have since been using, are very much apparent. Tools such as appreciative inquiry, that is one that I have used since then, that is using the positives of every situation, to really address issues as opposed to, I am good at problem solving, that is, as a scientist, we identify what the problem is and find ways to address it. But appreciative inquiry takes a different approach in which it actually identifies what are the positives and how can you build on it.
We're going to just take a short break. We're going to continue on this point right after this.
The Caribbean Leadership Radio Series, where Caribbean leaders discuss Caribbean leadership.
Does your organization have leaders with the self-awareness and confidence to lead effectively? Can they develop high-performing teams? Can they work effectively with multiple stakeholders? And are they equipped to navigate change and complexity? For these and other leadership challenges, the Caribbean Leadership Program offers a suite of virtual, face-to-face, and customized interventions to meet your needs. Our 5-day workshop on leading change and transition will provide senior executives with the mindset shift and tools to successfully lead change initiatives. Our transformational leadership development program is ideal for preparing high-potential leaders for succession to executive roles. And our mid-level leadership development program is perfect for those leading from the middle. For details on these and other offerings, visit our website at www.caribbeanleadership.org. Join us to learn, network, succeed.
The Caribbean Leadership Radio Series, where Caribbean leaders discuss Caribbean leadership.
Welcome back to the Caribbean Leadership Radio Series. Today we're looking at the challenges of leadership and evidence-informed policy development. We have with us Professor Donald Simeon, who is Professor of Biostatistics and Research at the Faculty of Medical Sciences at the St. Augustine campus of the UWI. Just before the break, Professor Simeon, you were sharing with us some of the leadership skills and tools that you acquired from your participation in our Caribbean Leadership Development Program. We asked you just to continue to elaborate for us. You spoke about appreciative inquiry. What other things and tools did you glean from the LDP?
Yes, there are quite a number of tools and approaches to leadership that I acquired as part of the program. For example, the whole issue of before action and after action reviews. I implement a number of projects and host a number of events like research conferences, and the whole planning and review and the use of the lessons learned. Those have been strengthened and channeled using these tools that I mentioned, the after action and the before action review. I think those are critical ones that I've used. I also benefited a lot from the emotional intelligence testing and, of course, the interventions called it that afterwards. I like that, especially because it identified my areas of strength and areas that can be strengthened, and critically, the program included, when we were assigned a coach who with me to really address the areas that can be strengthened. So much so that at the end of the program, when we did, the EQI, emotional intelligence quotient, my scores increased significantly in those areas that literally strengthened me. So that really left me, much better off than I was at the very start. But other tools included issues like training to do 2-minute briefing, when we have to really sell an idea.
Yes.
I think that has been very much, beneficial.
How prepared do you think, Professor, our region's leaders are to exploit ICT in facilitating evidence-informed policy development?
Yes, I think it is important. I mean, the whole issue of policy development. I mentioned before that communication is one of the challenges that we face, for example, between the researcher and the policy maker. And of course, ICT, really is a platform that can address that challenge. Your question, though, is how ready are we?
Yes.
I think that, yes, we are not there as yet, but one can see progress being made. I think there's more and more attention. E-government is now becoming far more, apparent, it's being applied more in different countries. And I think that process has started, and of course it will take some time for us to get around to it. And also the fact that as more younger persons join the public sector, for example, they bring in, they are more familiar with ICT than perhaps the more experienced or the older persons in the system. So I think that there is potential. We're not there as yet, but I can see that ICT playing a critical part in policy development as we go forward.
A person is operating at their level, they are responsible for themselves, and they need to increase their own capacity in the area of evidence-informed policy development. What tips or advice do you have for that person?
Yeah, but I think first the person must recognize it as being important, as being a priority, so they can take the time off to really build their capacity. The issue of training is one that I believe will play an important part. Actually, we at the UWI, at the Caribbean Center for Health Systems Research and Development, we intend to conduct training for policymakers in this area to really ensure that they can increase their capacity to manage research evidence and use research evidence as they develop health policy. So I think that is a critical issue, wanting to do it, and of course having the training. The issue of having online resources as well is something that will make a big difference. For example, there are a number of online portals that one can access to identify, research evidence that can be used in policy development. Of course, the key is to be able to use those available portals, and that again is where the training comes in.
And at the organizational level, so I'm thinking of, government ministries, departments, regional organizations. What advice do you have for strengthening our capacity at the organizational level across the region in this area of evidence-informed policy development?
Yes, again, the issue of priority must be seen as a priority so that the resources can channel there. Whether it's in terms of human resources, persons who have the training, the skills to really identify relevant research evidence, and of course how to use that evidence to really develop the policy. So I think, but of course there is a need for it to be seen as a priority. Do we really want it? I mean, having said that, I attend meetings where I hear a number of decision makers saying that evidence-informed policy is the way forward and they support it. Of course, they say it as to how much they actually apply what they say, when they actually implement what they say in a different question. There are some examples, one or two examples of departments, having that type of staffing, as part of their HR complement. And I think that there is some work to be done. A lot of work to be done still really, but I think that some progress is being made slowly.
Professor Simeon, we really want to thank you so very much for sharing with us on this all-important topic of evidence-informed policy development. You've been listening to the Caribbean Leadership Radio Series. Please check with this station for other episodes in our series. To learn more about the Caribbean Leadership Program, please visit our website at www.caribbeanleadership.org. Thanks for joining us.